nights. How was that?
Well, that was the year before last, and that was a kind of decision of, should we do this? Is this cool? Is it the appropriate thing to do?
It felt like it might be an opportunity to get our music to Germany, because we'd never really done very well in Germany. So it seemed like he was going to play to 1 million people there. So we can't, yeah.
So we decided, well, basically in Germany, we'd never really had much success. When we first went there, we were doing interviews, and one of the journalists said, "Is your music a joke?" And we were like, "Well, this is a really bad start." And he said, "You use humour in your music, and that's so wrong, and you shouldn't do that." And but with the Robbie Williams thing, that was a kind of like, do we go into that commercial world? We'd always kind of kept very much with the kind of our vibe in the underground, and it's kind of, are we selling our souls? So, but I mean, on that, we definitely toured to a few people. I remember calling Dave from Switch, who was a very cool producer at the time, and like, I thought he's got a good, honest opinion. He was like, just do it, yeah, great, play to all these people, who cares, you know.
And how do you feel about sponsorship? You know, the Coca-Cola Basement Jaxx tour, or the Pringles commercials, or what's your how much creative control do you have? What thought process do you go to? Because that's another thing that's come up a lot this week. We put it to a vote. You know, would you buy a Cocoon compilation if it was on Coca-Cola?
And what did people say?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, you've worked your whole careers. Someone offers you $100,000 to put your music to something you don't particularly like. How does it work between you?
Well, I mean, we've said no to
hasn't happened yet.
No, we've said no to quite a few commercials that were things that seem to be kind of cheapening the music, and it's one of those credibility, ethics, moral things. It is always a question, particularly with DJing and something like that, where like, you could accept lots of money all the time when there's a good time, or do you keep a bit of self-respect? It's one of those things you have to judge. But I think with us, yeah, I mean, we wouldn't want to be owned by a corporate company, because that wouldn't be true to what we are. And I think also nowadays, I think there is a whole kind of wave of kind of cottage industry and sort of, I don't know, craft, and people respecting craft from something real, and yeah, because there's so much, everything's been bought up by the big companies.
You have a feeling, I know, about where music's going digitally. You believe it's inevitable it's going to be free? Yeah,
I think it'll all be free. I mean, it's kind of going back to how music was before, but that's why I think it's more based...
Long time ago.
yeah, in the old times. But I think, it's about performance now, and that's just the way it is. I mean, you can not like it. But...
I mean, Simon, what do you think about that? As you were a player first and foremost. I mean, how does the...
A player?
A player.
I still am.
No, he paid you. How do you feel about that in terms of, you're playing your guitar, whatever, you're making tunes, and unless you actually go out and play, you can't get paid, or you maybe not be able to get paid?
Well, I think I don't know how that would work for a bedroom producer, someone who makes really, really good tunes. How are they going to get, adverts maybe, or how are you going to, I don't know how they're going to make their money. It must be hard for them, I think. I mean, for us, it's cool that we've got our live show up and running, and we can do that, and if you're a born performer, then that's great, but I think there's a lot of very talented people who basically, they kind of shine in the studio, and that's, I don't know.
But, I mean, I'm sure there must be tie-ins. I mean, going back to the kind of corporate links, I mean, talking earlier about the Red Bull Music Academy, which I think, like, for me, I think that's a really good sort of platform for underground DJs, and they seem to find people who are good and put them together, and it's free for people. I mean, I think that's good.
And how important for a lot of DJs to break now on new artists? It's they've got all the equipment at home now. They can make a tune on their laptop. It's a kind of hit and miss as to the reaction to that tune. How important do you think it was for you? Maybe you might not have seen yourself as this at the time, but you were entrepreneurs, really. You just got out and didn't wait for someone to come to you.
Well, I mean, I was lucky when I met Simon. First of all, I've been working in an office and dealing with printers and so I actually had a bit of kind of business experiences, not as in computer printers, as in people printing artwork and that kind of thing. So when someone came back and said, actually, that's the way it is, I say, no, actually, I know what you're doing, and it's not good enough. So it's which you have to know a bit, and and it's putting a lot of work in and effort. I mean, now it's with the internet. I suppose it's getting some kind of profile because nowadays it's all about a brand.
I mean, do you spend much time on MySpace, Twitter, Facebook, all these things? Is it part of the setup?
Well, I hate downloading tracks and all that sort of thing. It's really long-winded.
You still play on vinyl?
No. Yeah, but I mean, we play on CD generally, and probably would download everything, but the computer always gets full, and everything seems to go wrong with me.
You actually had a breakdown in the middle of the Radio 1 show a couple of weeks ago, and no one noticed, which was quite remarkable.
Yeah, well, that's having the live element so you can kind of carry on. But I just think it's hard because now there's so much stuff, and with DJing wise, you know, you get send 8 mixes. Now there's a million mixes of everything.
I mean, let's go straight to that. A&R choices have tended to be really good, I think. You seem to follow the market and always have the right singers at the right times. Particularly, I know what's coming down the line on the new album. I mean, how do you feel about remixes? How, as DJs and as artists now, do you let the label just go and do what they want, and then it comes back to you and you say no? Do you get involved in the choice?
We've always had control of all the creative elements of what happens, and I have to say yes or no to everything. But all the singers we work with, anything like that, we're up for suggestions. But remixes, if something comes to our attention via the record company, that's great. But we're totally we want them to do a mix, you know, we're very lucky to be like that.
And what happens if you don't like it?
If there's a bit that needs
changes sometimes, it depends how far off it is.
Okay, now you probably don't have to DJ, but you choose to. So just tell us about that, because you're playing at Pasha again this year. You used to play at Space.
Yeah, we're doing that tonight because it was after this gig today, and it's nice to go and DJ and play some tunes.
But it is good because it's, you know, stuff you've been working on in the studio, which we used to do. You know, but we used to cut acetates, and now we just you just see how it sounds, if it gets any reaction. So it's kind of a bit of an instant reaction to what you've been up to.
Okay. And how do you feel about coming to the IMS and playing here tonight?
What's the IMS? That's this whole thing.
I told him a couple of weeks ago what he was doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is great. I mean, I think it's really good, you know, getting people together and if they can ask any questions and just kind of, it's everyone's trying to do their thing, and the industry as a whole it's really changing at the moment. In the last few years, the whole music industry has completely changed, and unless you're prepared for the changes, then you're going to get left behind.
Okay.
So I think it's really good, and dance music actually is all coming back again. So you know, people from XL and the general mood is like rock was great a few years ago, but suddenly electronic music's cool again. So we're all lucky. You just kind of ride the wave.
A good time, I think, to open it out. Enough from me and get the questions from you guys. Any questions for Basement Jaxx? Don't be shy.
Oh, thanks. Good night.
Here we go.
Hello. Do you ever have a difference of opinion in the studio, because you've been working together for so many years, and it seems like every single you put out, there seems to be kind of intuition behind it, and it just seems to work, the timing with the charts and the success behind it. But can you give us a story of any time you've had a difference of opinion or thought, no, that's not going to work, and then one of you have had to eat your words, perhaps?
Well, sometimes. I mean, you learn from that as well. You learn that maybe, not to be too hasty and to let the other one do what he's doing and go, actually, that wasn't what I expected, but that's quite cool. And you have to kind of, So, we disagree because you hear something and you think it's going to go one way and the other one pulls it another way, but that's the way it goes. Yeah, which is a nightmare. And it goes on and on and on.
Yeah, well, it's a constant game of tennis,
good at the end of it.
I think you had that with the new single, didn't you? Because when I saw you at Radio 1, you still weren't sure about what mix to use or which
I know, we were stressing. I mean, it's not easy, and it's not like something arrives and it's like it fits at the time. There's so much thought from us and so much talking, like trying to work out what we want, what's right. We do loads and loads of stuff that kind of never sees the light of day, and because it just doesn't seem relevant. But I mean, that's what we do. I mean, that's being creative. I suppose you're very lucky if everything you do everyone loves, but and it's not like that. it's just a lot of work and a lot of talking and a lot of trying to, pushing and giving the other one space, which I think probably definitely at the beginning was a lot harder because we didn't really know each other very well. It was very much like we met and did music, so we were getting to know each other, and but it's like any relationship. Yeah, well, it's like anyone you work with, it's kind of, it is a marriage, it's a relationship, and
we've got two rooms now. We used to have one room, and then we've taken over the. So if you're not feeling it, you can just go next door.
Yeah. And there's just an intercom between, so don't actually walk in separate entrances.
Do you ever have to make that call where you ring your Andrew and you say, you tell him?
No, sometimes we forget to tell each other things, but it's kind of I mean, we're lucky that, well, it's like any relationship as well. You have to kind of work to kind of keep things moving and give each other space, and I mean, it's like any kind of office situation, really. You have to kind of pull back, but ideas wise you're always going to have a bit of that, but that's healthy and creative. That's why in advertising you have brainstorming or whatever. You throw anything in there and then try and stand back and be objective.
Any other questions? I've got a few.
Obviously, the underground scene was a big inspiration for you guys. And do you ever play underground parties still? And if so, how can I find out about them?
Well, we just did a UK tour, a live show, and so we were up in Glasgow, and they've got the Sub Club in Glasgow, which is a wicked place to DJ, and we went there years ago. And after the show I said, well, I'll come and play for nothing for a little while because it's a great sound system, it's underground, and I could play some old tracks that are really deep that I probably can't play in Pasha tonight. So and also to keep the love of it, it's kind of which I think is healthy for any DJ to, with all of us, to keep your soul, because then I think what you do should be good.
We've got one over the back there. She's back for more.
Hi, Felix. Hi, Simon. I wanted to know, have you been able to gauge whether doing the German shows with Robbie Williams has actually been effective? Did it work?
I don't think so.
Still don't really
sales in
like
Germany aren't skyrocketing at the moment. But.
Well, we actually realised, having done those shows, that a lot of people, it was their Saturday night out. It's like Saturday night entertainment. And they had a great night. They thought, a lot of people said, you were better than Robbie Williams, but they don't go and buy any music. They're like, we had a great family night out, and that's it. We gave them some entertainment for that evening. So it probably didn't. It helped exposure of what we were doing, I
guess it just stopped people thinking that it was less of a joke and more serious and.
I think a lot of people just thought, that band were good, the English people, Basement something,
you're
and
a
that's
band,
it.
Yeah. And then the second question I have very quickly is, the last time I saw you play, you were at the end with Laurent Garnier. Do you still get chance? I know you, Felix, you're a dancer. Do you still get chance to go out?
Probably go out, not as much. I mean, we're touring. If we're somewhere out and there's a DJ around, I'd like to go and see it, but not half as much. I'd like to go and see more things, but it's just time, and you get tired, and as you get older you get more tired, and so it's kind of like, it's hard to balance it like anything.
Simon, do you go out?
No, I mean, like, more than clubbing, I used to like going to sound systems, to reggae sort of, Jaxx I was talking about earlier, and things like that. So,
Carnival?
But I've got a daughter now. She seems, between doing Basement Jaxx and having, a little girl, it's just, there's no time.
All right, fair enough. Thank you.
But definitely, like dubstep, which has been a thing in the last year or so. That was probably the last thing I went to, where I went to a night where I was really excited, and they were like, I could see a whole new wave of like 15-year-old kids pogoing to this really slow, weird beat music, and I thought, that's wicked. There's so much life and enthusiasm, and really the whole of dance culture. When I was like 17, it's kind of just back there again, which is really great. And I think it is really creative at the moment. And there's loads of kids who've grown up, they listen to drum and bass, house, dubstep, and it's all the same to them. which is brilliant. And I think a few years ago it was very kind of cliquey with different sort of styles, which is ultimately boring, you know. And to keep it creative, I think it's good that everything mixes together. So yeah, I think the whole thing is healthy, but all these kids are getting all their music free, so which is fair enough. If I was them, I would.
Yeah, I used to tape music, so I mean, I don't think I paid for that much music when I was 10 or 11. Yeah. I used to get it off friends, and so.
I've got one more question down there. The lady with the red.
My friend want to know if you're going to play Jump and Shout tonight.
Yeah, well, actually, the guy, Slaughter John, who does Jump and Shout, he missed his plane, so no. Only kidding. He's getting another flight. He's coming today.
Pantomime horse he is. I think that's it. I would just like to thank Felix and Simon, and really looking forward to tonight.
Just a quick reminder to everybody to make sure you take these with you up to Dolt Villa tonight. You can walk there from this venue. It will take you 10 minutes.